It is so wonderful to see so many here. This is just heartwarming to see this many here. I want to welcome you, and this is a celebration of life for Tara D. Hough. And unfortunately, we only knew Tara for, I think, about 5 years, Gary? About 5 years. And so we're going to have a time to share here in a little bit. So I want the rest of you who knew Tara far longer than we did to share your stories about her, okay? We'll share our stories, and then you can share your stories about her childhood and so forth. And this will make me cry. This is Tara's chaplain book. And when her sister and Lori were going through the house, oh, thank you. When Lori and her sister Camille were going through the house, I stopped up a couple times, and they'd started to collect the things that were Tara's that we were going to put out on the memory table. And then this was laying there, her chaplain book. She was the chaplain for the local American Legion here, and so this is actually the book that she had used for events here at the Legion. So, and I asked Beth if it was okay if I had to be an actual Legion member to be able to use this, and she goes, "No, you feel free to use that." So I'm just very honored to have actually Tara's chaplain book, and we'll be reading some things from it. The opening prayer says, "Almighty God, with whom do live the spirits of those who depart hence in the Lord, and with whom the souls of the faithful after death are in strength and gladness. We give thee hearty thanks for the good examples of all those, thy servants who, having finished their common faith, do now rest from their labor." And like I said, this is a celebration of life service. Yes, there are some sad moments, but Tara didn't take things too serious. So in honor of her roll with it attitude, we're going to try and make this as celebratory and a nice service as possible, okay? I have a couple scriptures here, and one, I'll have to, can you give me that magnet that's on that table, Lori, that says Matthew, the one with the cat. Camille, can you grab me that magnet?
Oh, that one there.
It was another item that they found in the house. And if you all know about Tara, she was huge into cat rescue. And so when I saw this laying on the table, it was kind of appropriate. It's a picture of a cat, and it's just laid out like this, like, I'm done, I've just had it. And the scripture is from Matthew 11:28, and it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And I just picture Tara at her last moments thinking this, "Lord, I'm done, I'm tired, take me, and there's a better place for me to be than here." So it just kind of gives me joy. You'll see it on the table. I'm thinking that's probably what her last moments of thoughts were. I'm going to read from Matthew 25. And it's also a scripture that I've picked out for my funeral. And I know I had asked Tara to attend church with me a few times, but she never took me up on it. And that was okay. You know, I don't think Tara was probably into organized religion, but she was extremely faithful, extremely faithful. And as I read this scripture, you'll understand this is her game plan, or her game plan for life. This is how she conducted her life by the verses of this. The final judgment. "But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep at his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then these righteous ones will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will say, "I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me." Then the king will turn to those on the left and say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry, and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me in. I was naked, and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and not help you?" And he will answer, "I tell you the truth. When you refuse to help the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me." And they will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous will go into eternal life. And we know Tara will go into eternal life. There are many lists of things that she did here in her short 5 years that helped the least of these. And I'll say a few, and then we're going to open it up to Mike after here a bit for others of you that Tara helped out. And some of the things that I know, I helped manage the food pantry, and she was always very generous to the food pantry. She donated to that. She donated financially and by groceries. She helped buy clothing for the children at the school here in town that didn't have coats or mittens. She would drop off items for them. Legion told me she was always volunteering to bring baked goods and would help serve at the events here at the Legion and other breakfast community events here in town. She was extremely helpful, I can't even look at her, to Lori's family. And all these youngsters up here, Tara had a huge influence on them, and of her time, which these days is so hard. And if we all had more time, but she was willing to give time and financial assistance to these young people. What a great mentor for that. She also helped her friend Patty. Patty, can you raise your hand? She helped her establish a home, and she helped her son AZ. Can you raise your hand? Okay, we're so happy that you came. They came from Denver, is it? Denver?
Montrose.
Pardon me?
Colorado.
Montrose, Colorado.
Montrose, Colorado, okay. And so they drove here for her celebration service today because she was a huge part of their lives and trying to help them out to have a better place here on earth. She also, as we know, was very faithful to the four-legged creatures of this earth. And with her cat rescue, Buffy, are you here? Okay, Buffy's back there. Buffy and Ellen, was it? Buffy and Ellen are with the cat rescue in Sioux Falls, and Tara was so faithful to help them. And in honor of Tara here today, they have some baby kittens that they brought along that had to be fed during the day. So they brought them along, and I said they're more than welcome to be here in honor of Tara. So she had her fingers in all kinds of things, but was always very humble and did not boast about that. And so we are here today to boast for her, in honor of her, of all the wonderful, kind things she did. And very proud of the American Legion. That was very evident, how she liked to be a part of this group and took her service very seriously. She served in the Air Force and was also an air traffic controller in Omaha for the Air Force. So I'm going to share my story of how I came to know Tara. They're always quite interesting. She had just been here a few days, and I met her at the treasure chest. And I says, "Hi, who are you?" And she said, "Well, I'm Tara. I moved up this, in the house up the street." And I said, "Well, I'm Chris Firk." And she goes, "Oh, I've been reading about you." And I go, "Oh, wow." She's really been digging into the archives or whatever. And she goes, "I've been reading about you." And so we became friends. And at that time, her and I would like to go Friday nights to Omar's, to Oh So Good. And we would sit at the bar and have a meal together, visit, and listen to Boston Steve or who was ever playing that night for music. Volunteered some for Omar. We helped clear tables or pour water or whatever the case may be that night, helped Omar out. She was always so faithful to help with the food pantry. And last year, when I go to Texas for the winter, when I got home from Texas last year, I had put a message out, "We need cereal at the food pantry." And so I was there on a Saturday morning, and she was the first person to walk in with cereal. And now this year when I got home, I ran into her at the grocery store. I'd been home for probably 10 days, and I ran into her. I hadn't seen her yet. And she goes, "Oh, you're home?" And I says, "Yes, I'm home." And she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm shopping for the food pantry." And she says, "Well, I haven't donated for a while. Please take this money and buy some cereal." I says, "Absolutely." So that was my last engagement with her. She wanted to buy cereal for the food pantry. And I, upset with myself, and others have mentioned it, that day I saw her on Monday, and then she died on Saturday. She wasn't clear. Something was off. And I kick myself now, trying not to force her to get medical attention, because she was I could tell by looking at her eyes, her face, something wasn't right. And we had this standing date. I have a new kitchen, and she wanted to buy Chinese and come and sit in my new kitchen. Well, we never got that done. And so another lesson is don't wait. We don't know when that moment is going to end, where we have no more time. And time is so valuable on this earth that we don't take those times. I wish I would have pursued that more, because we wanted to get together before I went to Texas, and I never did it, and now I can't do it. So just a lesson for us all. Take the time for those precious moments of visiting with family and friends and those that mean so much to us. Thank you, dear. Okay, so that's my story of Tara. I'm going to open it up. And Beth Welsh.
Hello, everyone.
Up closer.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Tara was my neighbor, coworker, and fellow Legionnaire. The first time I met Tara was at Arrows. She was a contracting officer, and I was in finance. And then just a few days later, it was our Legion meeting, and I usually come a little later, and then she was introduced, and so I met her again, and then I realized she was my neighbor right across the street from me. So we got to be close over the years, and being an Air Force veteran, Tara joined Post 23 shortly after moving to Garretson. She was always quick to volunteer whenever we needed help. In April of last year, the post appointed her as our chaplain. Tara was fun-loving. If I came to a meeting with holes in my pants, she would ask if she should make a motion to ask for donations to buy me a new pair. See, Tara, there's no holes today. Tara was a friend to all. If she saw you on the street or in the store, she always had time to stop and say hi and ask how you were doing. She was a caring and giving person, always going out of her way to help others, people and cats alike. Even though she only had been part of our community for a few years, she made her mark on our small town. Tara will be deeply missed by many. Rest in peace, Tara.
Okay, the next I have Garrick. And Garrick's family was very close to Tara.
I'm actually serving a dual purpose here today. By the way, I'm Garrick. I'm the editor and owner of the Garrettson newspaper. Proud to be so. Love this town and love all of you. But first, I'm going to start with the words of Tara's brother, Ian Hough. He and I have been communicating by email, and he asked me if I would read this for him. So here it goes. My big sister, Tara. Sometimes I will sleep with my phone in the bed because I use a continuous glucose monitor. Very early on Easter morning, I noticed that my little sister had called me, but I assumed that I had dialed her accidentally. Suddenly, my wife's phone started to ring, and that's how I found out that my sister, Tara, had died. I was dumbfounded, of course, and any would be, but for me it was extra, because it never really occurred to me that Tara would die. That's what she was to me. She was my big sister and a force to be reckoned with. She couldn't be gone. The day after I got the news, I went shopping with my wife, and I simply sat in a bar waiting for Heidi to finish, and I stared at my drink, thinking about Tara. When she was about 12 and I was 9, she owned a pony named King. King was boarded 2 miles down the highway, and I do mean the highway, away from us, but that wasn't going to deter Tara. My little sister and I dutifully trudged down the highway to the farm where King was, where we also borrowed the farmer's pony. Tara got the halters and the leads on them, and we would go bareback. Back to town to Carleton College, where the students were all on summer break. They had a nature center there, and we would trot all the trails, falling off the horses and laughing. Of course, Tara had to cross the river multiple times with the ponies too. Then we would go to the football field, back and forth, laughing and falling off. Any small ditches we encountered, well, Tara was going to teach her pony to jump if it took all day. I was sitting there at the bar and recalling it all. It was so real, even the smell of the summer grass and the ponies. My big sister working that dumb Shetland pony like it was a champion. I can see and feel as clear as day, even now, 55 years later. And how strange that is, that memory comes back so sharp now, so sublime. Despite all the obstacles and disadvantages that befell my sister, Tara always managed to keep strong and to persevere. This was one of the qualities I especially admired in her. She was one of the few things I could be proud of in my family when times were bad. I was always proud to say, that's my sister. That's who Tara is. She was a cheerleader. She had the lead in a high school play. She joined the Air Force, became an air traffic controller, introduced me to cycling, and of course she had a super cool bike. She took up skydiving. Whatever she did, she leaned in. She plunged in. She was the first of our family to graduate college. No one else ever had. If you knew her first love was animals, and more accurately, horses. She managed some very large ranches in California and did some serious jumping. If I said I was going to try something, she would either already have tried it or knew all about it. One story she liked to tell was of our first swimming lessons when she was 9 or 10. She took me on the bus, and when they did roll call, they mispronounced my name. Instead of Ian Hough, they said Leon Pluff. She called me that my whole life and laughed like crazy every time she told it, even though I hated the story. My younger sister mentioned that she was surprised how many friends Tara had in town, and if that's true, then you know the person I'm describing. Kind, upbeat, caring, thoughtful, fun, honest, reliable, generous with her time, willing to help the helpless. This is the Tara that I knew too, She was my big sister, the one person I could be proud of and look up to as a kid. Thank you, and goodbye, Tara. I love you. Your brother, Ian. So, now that I've read Ian's words, I will speak my own. I first met Tara back in the summer of 2019. She was moving to town, looking for a place to board her horse, and so I did an ad for her, a little wanted ad. She didn't have much luck finding a place at first, but eventually she did. She came in to the office several times, continuously picked my brain about Garrettson and all the goings-on. She got a subscription right away, and when she moved in, she would call me when she thought we'd done a particularly good job with a story or an issue. At the time, I was looking for a proofreader because Jody Larson had gone from part-time with us to full-time at the post office. And so Tara said she'd be interested in doing the job. And I agreed, offered to pay her at the same rate that I paid Jody. And she flatly refused. I don't want your money, she said. I want to do it for the conversation. Aside from the proofreading, she'd do photojournalism for us too. And again, I always offered to compensate her, but she always steadfastly refused. Outside of working on the paper with my wife Carrie and me, we'd talk about fun things. She was well-read, she enjoyed movies and television, so we would have long and detailed chats about all those things, from cinema to the novels we'd read, to whatever Star Wars television show we happened to be streaming at the time. Occasionally she'd come over for card games or to watch television on our big screen with us. She'd borrow my big old Dodge pickup that I know all of you have seen around town if she needed to haul something, and she'd call me up if she needed heavy lifting done. She was reliable as clockwork every Tuesday, only begging off when she was either deathly ill or out of town visiting friends. Most likely you. I gave her COVID when I unsuspectingly picked it up at a basketball game. I don't think I'll ever forgive myself for that. And she definitely roasted me about it too. But we both got the antibody treatment that saved so many people, and it helped us both a great deal and got over it, so that's good. That's another thing too. During that whole COVID mess, when human contact was at a minimum for safety, and she was a lifeline for Carrie and me, and I think we were a lifeline for her too. Badly needed social interactions. She came down and she did the work with us despite the dangers, not just to socialize, but she believed that the people who were stuck in their homes needed their newspaper and needed it to be good more than ever. So in the weeks since the Easter day, we got the phone call from Lori about her death. It's been hard. Writing her obituary was hard because I had to admit that she wasn't coming back. It's hard to know she's not going to be there every Tuesday. It's hard to watch the last season of The Mandalorian because I'm not going to be able to chat with her about it afterwards. I'm usually a very happy-go-lucky guy, but on Tuesdays and on deadlines, I can be very cranky, and I've been known to swear like a sailor. Grandpa was in the Navy, and he taught me well. But Tara took that all in stride, and she liked me even when I was at my worst. She was never afraid to let me know what her opinion was, or to challenge me when she thought I was wrong. To challenge me and my wife to be the best we could be. And that's what friendship is. The people in this building meant a lot to her. I especially do want to thank the Legion guys and gals for everything. She talked about you guys a lot and said you were all good people that she was proud to serve with. Absolutely proud. A privilege, she said. So my heart is broken that we lost her, but I am stronger because I know her. And And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Garrick. That was very touching. And how appropriate, some of you don't know how involved she was with horses also. She has a horse here in a stable over by Renner. I can't remember.
Hills.
What?
Windy Hills.
Yeah, but name of the horse, do you know?
Danny.
Danny, okay. And it's a pasture horse, and he is stabled over there, and not sure what's going to happen to Danny, but yeah. She didn't talk much about that, but she had the horse over there. She would bring, he liked apples, I think. Did you bring apples over, AZ? Yes. So anyway, but, pardon me?
We're gonna put Danny in the Charger.
Oh,
We're
really?
gonna take him home.
Good. With his neck sticking out.
I told Ariana, I was like, he's going home with us.
He's going home with you guys. But how appropriate. Do you know what tonight is? The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. It is.
So Tara's going to be riding in the sky and, yep, free riding in the sky and celebrating the Kentucky Derby in heaven. Okay, we're going to open the, we're going to open up the floor. And Camille, would you like to speak now? Yes, okay. This is Camille, Tara's sister from Albert Lee, Minnesota.
Yes, I live there. I'm not really from there, my husband is. I wrote down a few things. One, I wanted to thank everybody here for doing everything. I wanted to say that I came here and I feel like an interloper. I feel like someone that, usually you have a service of a loved one, usually the family member sits up front, and they're all here. In this case, it's her friends, all of her friends. I chose to sit in back. I have a hard time sitting up front and doing nothing, so I've been back there pacing. But I feel like I'm an interloper in this town. This town, our family moved around a lot, and so this was the first time. She died at 68. She came here in 2019 from Colorado. This is the first town that she felt like home. We moved a lot during our life, and we did have a town in Northfield that felt like home, at least to me. But really, all the people here were her family. She has us, but her family was here. And I feel like she loved this town, and I feel like the town, excuse me, the town loved her. So I'm going to tell you a little about a background, just a tad, the things maybe you don't know. As I said, we moved around a lot. My father was a radio announcer. He was also in television. And we got corrected a lot on our English, and we got corrected on our posture, and corrected on using our elbows off the table, things like that. So if you knew Tara, she did the thing with the paper, that's why. It took me until I was in my 30s before I could use slang and not feel bad about it. So anyway, so we started out, this is all fuzzy because we moved a lot. We started out in Minneapolis. If you've looked at the pictures there, I'll explain a few of them. There's a little, like a drawing on the back, and it says something, it's a girl doing dishes, and it says WDGY, and I think that's where my father was. I think he was on radio. He's a big radio personality. He was sophisticated. He had a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, spoke to us in foreign languages, especially German, when we did something wrong. So we were pretty well-rounded. My mother, who's here today, came from a farm. She brought us more down to earth. My mother was, from a farm country, came from a big family, things like this. So between the two of them, it gave us a lot of the characteristics that you see. I've got right here, of course I wrote it down, I can't read my own writing now. But basically, they taught us to be kind, they taught us to be honest, and they taught us to have justice. And if you knew Tara, that's probably what you remember, how kind she was, selfless she was. All three of us, we were all like that in different ways. And I'm quite a bit different than my sister, but we all are the same. I'm going to explain some things on the table. She's got a Mamiya camera I brought in. That one thing that nobody mentioned, she was very big into photography. That's a very special type of camera, was given to her by her dad, our dad, and that was very special. She's hung on to it ever since. There's going to be a picture of a trailer and a car. That was our life. We moved around a lot. Did you introduce her as Tara Hough, or who said that? Was that you?
It's Hough.
Huff.
I know, and we got that. We went through life, new schools with that type of thing.
Yes,
And
yes.
so the Leon Pluff story, that's just one of, I'm a Nelson now, I'm good.
Yeah, you're easy.
I am. So that's something to look at. Another thing is we lived in, we were here in Minnesota, various places. We went to Arizona, then we were in Los Angeles with my mother. And we went to Disney World, Knott's Berry Farm, Japanese Deer Park, all these things. It seemed like every weekend we went somewhere. So you'll see some pictures. And there's a famous picture there. We went to Disneyland and somebody thought they saw Elvis. I think it was 1971. That's our Elvis picture. Now,
It does look like him.
I don't know if it is, but it was just like, oh, look, we got a picture of Elvis. So just take a look. That's up to you. Another thing, I know some of you know she has a VW Bug. She had one when she got out of the Air Force, a 1974 grape convertible. So this one she has was blue, but it was pretty close. So there's pictures of her there. She was very proud of it. We went down like Sunset Boulevard with that in LA, feeling real cool with sunglasses and that Bug. So that's why she has one. What else? Another thing, everyone thinks of her as a cat person, but she really was a horse person. If you go into her house, there's a couple of cat figurines, and the rest are horse pictures, horse this, horse figurines, horse everything. And that's what it was. Another thing you may not notice, she went to West Virginia, there's a little ID card. She went to a dressage school, a very prestigious dressage school in Virginia, Teely Wookett, I think it was called. And that was something. That's something now that I went to art school, but I didn't go to dressage school. I didn't accomplish near as much as she did. So that's something that you guys may not have known. And we did move a lot, but it made us fearless. It made us adventurous. I don't think we were ever afraid. Our family, we were never afraid to do anything. My mother taught us to be independent. And then when we were independent and moved out right away, she was like, and I'm like, well, you told us, don't stay around the house, get out, and we did. You know, so if you see how Tara was, that's what we were. One thing I wanted to say, we did take care of cats. I take in strays, she fosters. I could never do that. I just don't have the strength to take in kittens. I always worry about where they're going to go. They're so cute. The one thing I wanted to say that was so special, coming back to the town, was, like Eric mentioned, I got a knock at the door at 1 a.m. and I thought, oh, it's a neighbor. One of my cats has run over. And then they shine it in my face, and I'm like, what did I do? And then they told me, and they said, Tara Hough or something. And I'm like, I don't know that person. And again, this is our whole life story. Tara Hough, Tara Hough, Tara this, Tara. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Was it this? And so that's when I learned. That was a Sunday. We had to go to our church service because my husband Ed and I, he is there with worship. I do the soundboard and we run things like that. So we had to go, and I just didn't want to tell anybody. And I was okay until someone sang that song. I don't know if you know that song, Because He Lives. Mm-hmm. That was real hard. Then I broke it and I had to go in another room. I got a call from Lori, which I think I'd met, but I didn't know who she was. I just knew her as a cook at the sports cabin. That's it. I came down on Monday, and the only person involved in this has been me and Lori. I don't know where she is. There you are. I just saw you over there making buns, so I keep pointing to you back there. Lori did everything. Lori knew what to do. I've never planned, never seen a funeral. All the technical things you have to do, I had no clue. And Lori did everything. She's like a cousin. We think alike, we're planning alike. If we got emotional, we'd go, no, we're not doing that. We're just gonna keep going. So Lori and I are, Lori was Tara's best friend, I guess. I don't wanna step on anyone's toes.
No, she was.
But, yeah, she was her best friend, and I know why, because she takes care of stuff. She listens, she gives good advice, she tells you things straight. and she's very generous. I didn't have any cash, so I couldn't pay for a lot of things, especially at the sports cabin. I think for 3 days, she drove me around and fed me and took me to Marlin's and gave me comfort food and things like this. And she was really wonderful. You can't say enough about a gal like Lori. I couldn't be doing this. Usually it's all the family that comes around. The family's not coming around. We're very, our family was in Minnesota. We were out different places. If you notice, there's a lot of pictures missing of her life. I have no idea where they are. I was somewhere else. My brother was somewhere else. My sister was in California, in San Jose. She was in Hollister. We were all over, and before the internet, before cell phones, you didn't always keep track of where people were. But when she found this town, this is where she found her home. And I remember driving out here, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Where do I bury her? We don't have a home. We don't have a hometown. We don't have a home church. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do? And then thankfully, the VA, this was her home. The military was something she was very proud of. And she's going to be buried out there, just like she wanted. I do nothing. I do nothing. Lori found a funeral home. I do nothing. I just show up, and that has been the most wonderful thing. So I'm very glad that my sister found people like you, and I've been told there's people that are missing, but I know that this town will miss her a lot. I mean, we do, of course, but this town was really her home. She made more of an impact here than any place we ever lived. I can't say that if I were to die, I'd have as many people showing up telling me all the wonderful things. So I think that's a real testament to her life, that so many people are touched by all the generosity and things that she did. So that's all I have. Please look at the pictures. And by the way, there is a greeting card on the far corner. Please open that up and read it. It is funny. So I want you to do that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Chris.
Yes. Okay, others. I know there's others that want to share some comments. Patty, do you want to talk?
For those of you that don't know me, I am, I'm gonna eat this. Just kidding. For those of you that don't know me, my daughter Yahira, she's 22. My daughter Vicky, she's 12, and AZ, as you all know him, is my son of 14. Missing 2 of my other kids, Citlali and Mario. But when we met this lady, she volunteered for Partners in Montrose, Colorado. So she didn't have a home. My home was her home. Sorry. Partners called me to tell me that this lady had donated money to take kids shopping. And I told them, okay. I'm like, what is she? And they're like, no, she works for the BLM. Thank you. She works for the BLM. She's an older lady. She loves cats and horses and blah, 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 blah. You know, and I'm like, okay, totally not me. Opposite. So she takes my son, and he was just a little bean, because we call him Bean. His name is Frijol. But I send my girls to follow her, because I mean, I don't know this lady. She's showing up at my house, and she's taking my kid, and I don't know if she's gonna sell his body parts or whatever, you know. I mean, he's not the cutest kid, don't get me wrong, but his liver and stuff was still good. So she noticed that I had my girls following her all over Target, and she posed for a picture. That was the first picture her and Arion have together, and it was a picture that I will treasure forever, and Arion has it on his wall now. She laughed and laughed and laughed. She goes, you didn't trust me? I'm like, how am I supposed to trust this white lady coming into my house taking my kid? Like, what are you talking about? We don't do that. She loved him, and she called me that she wanted to be his partner. I met her at the coffee trader, and here she comes rolling in her weird bike with a little horn on it, and she's just beep, beep, beep all over Main Street. And we meet at the coffee trader. This lady can't have a simple conversation to save her life if you know her. She jumps from one thing to another, and you're like, whoa, hold on. But she won me over that day. She won me over, and I told the kids that Arion had a partner, that they clicked. And I would fight with Arion to go with her sometimes because he wanted to hang out with his friends instead. But he had the time of his life. When she bought that blue bug, she rolled up, coming to my house, and it was beat up as hell. Oh my God. She didn't put gas in it, so she called me that she was stranding in the middle of nowhere. Do you remember, Yahida? Stranded in the middle of nowhere, but she was waiting for the degrees to go. How high did they have to go, Frijol?
I don't remember.
Like 85, I think. And she would take him to get root beer float, 75, and root beer float. So she rolls up in this beat up bug, happy as can be, honking that little thing that was annoying as hell. And she takes him for root beer floats. She became part of my family, because a mom is not one that has you. A mom one is there to protect you, to hold you when you cry, to give you so many things. And that's what she was to me. She was my mom. She didn't want kids, or she didn't have kids because her personal choices, you know, the whole I'm gonna ruin my figure. If you knew her. To this day, everything started, how much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? I'm like, Tara, really? And she became my mom. She became our mom. A grandma to Arion, a grandma to my kids. And the last time I talked to her, we had a therapy session together. And I told her, we are co-parenting. We are two moms learning to raise this kid. She was his mom, and she never thought she was gonna get a single mom with 5 kids who talk like crazy and are crazy as hell, but I wouldn't change them for anything, and I wouldn't change her for the world. She did have a home in Montrose with us. She will always have a home with us. I told my therapist I was gonna bring a big old bag and just take her with me, but I wasn't gonna let you guys keep her. Obviously, I didn't bring the bag. I forgot that. I do got Walmart bags in the car, though. But the whole way here, I was reading emails. My life was gonna do a 360 again with her. I was gonna move to South Dakota. And she was gonna put me up in nursing school. And she was gonna watch the kids while I did night school. And she was gonna help me get a house here, and we were gonna sit on that porch and drink tea, her weird tea. I'm not a tea drinker, I'm a coffee drinker. But for her, I will drink tea with milk in it.
She drinks coffee.
But she drank tea with me. She's taught me a lot. Taught me what respect was, what love was, what a mom had to be. Those of you that don't know me, don't know my background. I have a mom. Don't get me wrong, I have a mom. I love my mom. But Tara was my mom. She was my person that I called when I had a rough day at work. I worked 2 jobs. And she always told me, don't give up, because those dinks need you. Yahira was a heifer, Vicky was a heifer, Arion was the kid, and I was a dink. When my husband left us, I became homeless. And this lady, not even knowing me that long, went and helped me get a house. Helped me foster my dogs and my animals because my kids love animals. I have a whole zoo. And we weren't homeless. We had a home. My first birthday there, she brought streamers and balloons, and she decorated with my kids. When I needed anything, I knew I could call her any time of the day. Thursday night, she was so excited to get him back. She's like, don't be late. You are always late. I'm like, yeah. She was very punctual, and I was very late to everything. I'm going to be late to my own funeral, by the way. just so you all know. So, I was late. I was late Saturday to take Ariane to the plane. We made it with 5 minutes to spare, huh, buddy? I wasn't late. And then he calls me, and he tells me, Mom, she's not here. And that's when I knew something was wrong. Because Tara is never late. Tara is one that you could depend on day or night, anytime, any holiday, anything. Tara was there. And he called a friend, and she went and picked him up for me and kept him a couple of days, which I am so grateful for. And he called me back and said, Mom, she's gone. I told him, no way in hell, quit playing. Don't play like that, Ariane. And I was actually at Chuck E. Cheese celebrating my nephew's birthday. And I stayed there because I knew she wouldn't want me to stop everything. I was there, I held back my tears, I straightened my crown, and I kept going for my nephew. But then they confirmed it, that she was gone. And then Lori called me. And this lady had such an impact on my family that my nephew that had met her once stayed up all night crying with me. Stayed up all night crying with me. He goes, Thea, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Tara always said she was going to get my happy rear end to fly. So I flew. I flew to come get my son and to be here, and Lori and Jessica, right? Jess, because he calls you Jess, and I'm like, They were so much. The hospitality I received, the hugs, the dinner, everything was wonderful. I won't forget this. And I came to see him, and Lori drove me by her house. My future home with her. And I told her, no, she's not gone. I still don't accept it. But she is my mom. She was a mom. She was a grandma. She was an aunt to all these kids. Because she would talk about you guys nonstop when we would be on the phone. And she loved each and every one of you. And she told me that. She told me that she loved this place, that she loved it, and that I would love it too because it was so peaceful. I'm going to miss my mountains, I told her. I need my San Juan Mountains, my Rocky Mountains. I need my mountains. We love hiking. And when we came here for Christmas, we were like, oh, hell no, this place is too flat. I was like, where's the hills? Where's the, and she's like, wait a minute, wait till you see it in the summer and springtime. And still driving here, we don't see mountains, Hayahira. We're like, I don't know. But Colorado was her home as well. Those that know you, know her, know that she made home anywhere you opened the door to her. Home is lots of places for her. She took Ariane to Disneyland last year. She took him to Mount Rushmore, to all these places that I had never dreamed of. I come from a really bad background, and this lady has me traveling left and right. And I was even late to the plane. I was an hour late to the plane. And somehow Tara stopped it. I know she did, and I knew she was laughing too. And I got on that plane, and I was shaking, and there was a little girl next to me, and I looked at that little girl, and I was like, okay, she's scared, I'm scared. What are we both going to do if the plane goes down? Because I watch a lot of horror movies. If you watch Final Destination, you know what I'm talking about. But we had plans, and I will keep those plans. And I will go to school, and I will make her proud. And my son is never going to forget this place. He wants to come back in the summers and not this and that. And you guys have told me he's welcome to come stay with you guys. Dustin's over here like, hell yeah, he is. He's going to chill with me. But this lady is my mom. She's my white mom, I call her. And when I would get so mad at her, I'd go off in Spanish, and she would just laugh at me. And then she'd go off on me in German. And I'm like, I don't know what you said. She's like, well, I don't know what you said. I'm like, okay. But there's so much. I was thinking about everything. And I was thinking of how much she taught all of us. And she taught me that life is short. Live it. And this last 2 years that she has been, that Ariane's been here, we have traveled more than we have in, what, 22 years that you've been born, Yahaira? And there's still more to come because she wanted me to see the world. She wanted to give me that, and I will be damned if I don't do it for her. And every time I go, I'm going to have her picture. I'll be like, look, I did it. We went to San Francisco. We went here. We went there. We went to Vegas. And she wanted to go to Vegas, and she was so excited for us. And she gave me all the spots and this and that, you know, and her weird vegetarian food. She wanted me to show you guys how to cook real chile rellenos. She's like, you need to come to a cooking class. I'm like, no, I made like 100 a day at my job. I don't want to do anymore. But that's the kind of person she was. When I was down, she was there. When any of you were down, you knew she was there. She was just a phone call away. And we are so lucky and so proud and blessed to have her in our lives. Because when we leave tomorrow, it's not a goodbye. Get to see you around, Tara. Because I'm going to see her and the cats that we save. Because right now we have like, what, 12 cats? Yeah. And the mama just had 3. She had 4, but one passed away. But she loved Marley, and she loved Edgar, and she loved, I can name all the cats I have. Vicky likes to take in cats. But she showed us what that was. She showed us what caring was, what loving was, what, you know, giving without expectations was. She never expected anything from us, and she never wanted to get paid for what she did for us. That's who she was. She did it because she loved it, because she felt good, because it was nice. And I told her, I was like, why are you so nice? I don't like being nice. I'm like, I like being alone and in my own darkness. And she pulled us all out of there, that's for sure. And as much as Yahaira fought with her, because Yahaira has a very strong mind, and so did Tara. Oh, they butted heads a lot. But Yahaira loved Tara, Vicky loved Tara, and Ariane is just beyond blessed that he learned so much from her. He walks around with that Legion jacket and he wears it proud. Today he doesn't have it on, but he does. He wears it proudly, and he says her name with joy and with proudness and lots of love. And I will say her name, and she is my mom. She didn't have kids, but she is my mom. And here's to Tara.
Okay. We have a statement from Jeff Nelson back here, a friend of mine. And Jeff, I'll let you stand here, and you can tell how you know him, Tara. Or you can stay here, that's fine.
Hi, for
Here,
those,
I'll hold the microphone for you.
that's okay, I can talk loud enough. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff. I run the cafeteria out at Eros Data Center, and I met Tara in 2019 when I took it over. She was one of the first people that came in and frequented me quite often with me and one of my coworkers that I had at the time. But after COVID came, she kind of stayed at home a little more, and then eventually she retired. But one of the stories I have about her, I knew she loved cats because in the winter of 2019 we had a cat, a feral cat out there that was hurt his paw or froze it, and I think she spent about 3.5 months trapping that cat, making friends with him till he'd finally come up and eat. And I never did get his name, but I I wonder if it's one of them that she has to this day. But those are my memories of Tara, and peace be with you, Tara.
Thanks, Jeff. Is there anyone else that wants to speak about their contact with Tara? Yeah, absolutely. Want to come up front, please?
Okay, hi everybody. I speak fast. It's because I get nervous talking in front of people. I'm my mother's daughter, Yahira, and I just want to say Tara was the kindest person I have ever met in my life. I feel like I can speak kind of loud enough. I butted heads with her all the time, over the holes in my pants, over the decisions I was making, over everything. And finally, when I was up to Tara's standard, I guess I would say, we went to Pizza Ranch, and I'm sure a lot of you have been there, and if you know Tara, you know she loved Pizza Ranch. And she was telling me about why she gives the way that she gives. And she had stated that, I'm not gonna that's her story, of course, but she's been through it. And she has been through everything that every single one of you have probably been through. She's been there and done that. And she loves you. And I love to see all of you love her. It's amazing how cute and awesome this town is, all the awesome words that you have to say about her. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking more of what I was going to say, but of course I got up here and I got nervous. But I just wanted to say I love to see how you guys love her, and I love to hear that she loved you guys just as much. She loves to love people. And I hope that, you know, she's doing great up there. And I know she is. She's dancing around with all the kitties up there. So, yeah. And that's it, guys. Sorry.
Okay, I saw a person walk in, and they're probably gonna, Linda? And that was so nice of you to come, Linda, right? Is that your name?
Yes, it is.
Yes, and Tara was very kind to her father, which was Richard Erickson, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's Richard Erickson's daughter, Linda from Minnesota somewhere.
Elk River.
Elk River, okay. It was so nice of you to make the trip. And yeah, she loved hauling Richard and Juanita around for, you know, drives and visits and Legion breakfasts and whatever. Linda, would you like to say anything? Yeah, okay, come on.
You did. I apologize for being late. We came down from Sisseton, South Dakota this morning, and we had rain and fog. You couldn't see in front of the headlights, so that really delayed our arrival. But I was praying that we would get here on time, and then the sun came out. So, yes, she did. I just wanted to say how much Tara meant to me during my father's illness. She would be there every time I would come into town. I'd be here for about, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then I'd go back to Elk River for a few days, and then I'd come back here. And I started doing that in, I believe, April of 2021 until he passed away in August. Every time I came, Tara came up to the house, and we chatted, we got to know each other. We would give my dad a hard time, which he deserved, by the way. I like to think there's part of him that I can still carry. And the thing that that makes me feel the greatest is that the day he died, August 11th, she came that morning and she was there for the entire day. I knew that the end was very near. I'm a retired RN. And she was there. She sat one side of the bed holding his hand, and I sat the other side. And we took turns reading the Bible. And I don't think it didn't matter to him what we read. It's just the fact that he was there. And I have a little pulse oximeter that I had on his finger so that I knew kind of where he was at throughout the day. And as evening approached, I knew it was going to happen soon. And so Tara and I just prayed with him, for him, and I know that he left this world peacefully. So I just wanted to say thank you, Tara. God bless you, and may God greet you in the gates of heaven. You will be there with your cats.
Thank you. Anyone else?
This has been wonderful to hear these stories of all these different contacts that Tara has had. And I'm saving the best till last. Lori, do you want to talk? Nope. She can't. Okay. And Lori Bennett, who's up here in the front, was very close to Tara. They spent a lot of time together. Lori has custody of some grandchildren, and like Tara, went out of her way to help Lori raise these grandchildren. She would take them on excursions and events, and if Tara needed a place to go for a holiday, Lori's house is always open to anyone, but particularly if it was a holiday and Tara needed a place to go to visit with family friends, she would go to Lori's house. And her family, can the grandchildren of Lori please raise your hand? Yes. You knew Tara very well, didn't you? Yes, yes. And such a kind heart that she reached out to Lori and helped her through some tough times, some very tough times, counseled her through some very tough moments, and forever grateful for that kindness that she showed Lori's family and her grandchildren and children. Lori's children, do you raise your hands? One, okay, all right. Anything else, Lori? No. She was just a wonderful, kind person, and such a good lesson for all of us that that hopefully we can all leave an impression on this earth. This earth definitely needs kindness, and if we can make an impact on total strangers like Tara did, this world would be a much better place. And I just can't say enough how proud I am of Garrison for reaching out to her. She was only here for 5 years, and look what you did. You gave her a stable home, friends, and wonderful memories. God bless her soul. And she'll be watching the Kentucky Derby this afternoon, riding in the sky. Her interment is going to be, like I said, at the Veterans Cemetery in a couple weeks or so. We're working on those arrangements, and what a better place for her to be than at the new Veterans Cemetery, just a few miles west of town here. And so anyway, you keep up the good work. You've been doing a wonderful job of being the hands and feet of Jesus, and I just encourage you to continue with that, and I encourage these young folks up here. You had a wonderful mentor in Tara, and there's nothing better that you could do to honor her than to be good stewards, good citizens, be kind, be good in your schoolwork, and make her proud. That would be the greatest gift you could ever give to her in her memory, is being good citizens of the USA. She was very proud to be a veteran, and she spoke about, her Legion and her veteran Legion home a lot. So we'll raise her high. We're going to go out here shortly and do the military rites, and I just have a closing tribute out of her chaplain book from the Legion. Why are we living here on this planet called Earth? Is life of no value, or does it have worth? Some people waste their days as if they were their own, but we must remember God gives them as a loan. Isn't that so true now? He tells us to use them for those who are in need, to speak a friendly word, or do a kindly deed. Visit the sick, he says, and feed the hungry too. Guide lost souls back to God, and he'll remember you. Pray God for all people, for the land that we love, and for the Legion. Ask his blessings from above. There are some of the things a chaplain tries to do, and you have done them well. Hail, that's what we're saluting you. So we're saluting Tara for all the wonderful things she did. Lori's grandchildren and family members are going to carry. AC, okay. AZ is going to carry her remains out. And AZ, you want to carry them out? We'll go out front, and then, do you guys want to go first, Randy?
You want to go first?
Sure. Yes. You go ahead, and we'll step back, okay? And then after the honor outside, there'll be lunch served in the room over next, okay?
Honor God, attention. Hand salute. 2. Lori, if she wanted to sit down or stand.
No, she's fine.
Okay, sounds good. Honor guard. Attention. Court on. Ready.